Hey everybody, I'm Doug, and wait, where's Connor? Oh right, he's on assignment this week. I'm at Frontier Middle School with Kara Eason. Kara is a special education teacher specializing in autism spectrum disorder, and she's supporting a brand new program here. Kara, thanks for joining us this week.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So the program you're supporting here is called the Structured Program. For those not familiar with this term, can you tell us what that program is and who it serves?
Yes, so the Structured Program it's designed to serve students who may be nonverbal or have other significant communication disorders. Many of them are diagnosed as having autism spectrum disorder, and the program here uses environmental and visual structures to support student learning. The students in the structured program might have behaviors that are challenging to them because they don't have access to functional communication. So in this program, we focus on communication, we focus on academic skills, and we also focus on life skills. We want to be able to prepare them for moving into a community environment when they're adults. So what we want to do in a program like this is structure the physical environment so it's organized to reduce any sensory distractions and create very clearly defined routines for the students. They all have visual schedules. We have visual schedules placed on their desks. We have visual schedules up in front of the room and in different parts of the room because we want to help them to, again, understand that there's an important structure to their day.
I love that. And at the desk we're sitting at right now doing this interview, one of those visual schedules is right in front of me, and it has little graphics and words. So first is PE, second, the morning meeting, third is math, then art, and so on and so on. I think that is a really cool way for the students to just kind of see their day at a glance. That's got to be really helpful.
It is very helpful. And if you notice also, on this visual schedule, we have Velcro that's attached to the back of each schedule block. And this allows the students to tangibly interact with their day, with their schedule. And they're able to take this block and put it on we have another sheet that's here at their desk. They each have their own little organized bin. And when we transition from one schedule block to another, just like middle school students do, they transition from class to class. And we're trying to recreate that for these students as well.
That.
And so they would take their visual block and they put it on their first, then schedule. And for example, right now I'm putting one visual block that says PE, and then we'll put first PE, and then we have morning meeting. And so this gives them something very structured and tangibly that they can see, and they know what is coming up next.
That's great, and it has to give them a sense of order, I would think, about their day. That's got to be helpful.
It really does. Many times students with autism spectrum disorders can have a lot of anxiety about what is coming up next. A lot of times they don't understand that there's a beginning and an end to, each thing that they do throughout their day. Their mind works in a continuum, and for them, it just keeps going round and round. So these schedules really do reduce their anxiety, and it really does allow them to focus on what they need to do. And it's so incredible to watch the success that we see when they finally figure out what their schedule is and what is expected of them. And that's some of the beauty of working in a program like this. Then we start to see some really amazing talents and gifts come out.
I can imagine. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I love all that about the calendar, hearing about the day here and how it's structured, and really that's very accessible for the students. That's really great. You have a double classroom here, and if our listeners can imagine, we're sitting in kind of, if you will, the classroom part where we have desks and chairs and things like that. In your second classroom there, I see a trampoline and some other things beyond it. Tell me a little bit about that area.
My team calls this the sensory area. And in our sensory area, we have a large, for lack of a better word, it looks like a big wonderfully comfortable dog bed. It's a place where, if we have students that are really having some sensory issues and they really just need a break so that they can get their sensory issues back to a baseline, we'll let them go. They just lay over there for a little while. Then we have a little mini trampoline. If somebody needs to jump, they can go jump for a few minutes and help with their sensory needs. We have many other sensory activities over there. We like to keep the lights a little low, so it's an environment that's peaceful. It's an environment that's inviting, and they're able to transition in and out as needed.
That's got to be really great for the students. And also in that room is a bit of a kitchenette. Tell me about that.
Yes. Okay. So we are really excited to be able to have access to a kitchenette. That is another really important aspect of a structured program because we, want to help the students to learn how to develop functional life skills that they, again, are going to be able to use when they grow up and they're out in the world. So having a kitchenette allows us to be able to work with them on how to make food for themselves, how to prepare meals, how to plan meals, how to cook maybe some basic foods that they can make for themselves. And the kitchenette would involve, of course, the meal prep, but you have to think about all the other things that go into that. So shopping, we want to teach them how to go to a grocery store and how to choose what they would need to, make, like, for example, spaghetti. And then that ties into money, and that's also part of our structured program is having work systems set up where we're teaching them, how to count money and how to purchase small items. And, the goal is to transition them into being confident and able to have very solid functional life skills that they can use later on.
That's fantastic. Wow,
Yeah.
that's really excellent. Well, I love hearing about your 2 classrooms here. That's a lot for one teacher to oversee. Do you have a team of folks that help you out?
I am truly, truly appreciative and lucky to have a team. Without the team of people supporting me, this program would not run. It would not run smoothly. It would not be flying off the ground. I have 7 most wonderful adults in here that also teach with me. I cannot give enough credit to my team. Every one of them goes over and beyond what is expected of them, and every one of them has a heart for these kids. I am so honored every day when I walk through this door and see these people here. I honestly feel so completely blessed and lucky that they're here helping me do this. And I also want to say there's other people that support this program. I have a TOSA who also supports me. And then I have a mentor in this school who supports me as well, and she teaches the ILC program, but she is across the hallway, and she checks in with me every day. She's amazing as well. And then I have my 2 special ed directors, and they are amazing support. And then I have my principal here at FMS who has been instrumental in supporting me and making sure we have everything that we need to make this program happen.
That's fantastic. That's to have a system like that in place to support you and these students. Those 7 folks that work in this room, are those paraeducators?
Yes.
Wonderful.
They are.
Our special education paraeducators really do so much for our students across this district, and I love that you get to work with 7 of them. That's fantastic.
It's amazing.
The students here in your structured program are just benefiting, and I'm sure growing leaps and bounds because of what they're doing and what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Well, tell me a little bit about the students that you serve. I know we're early in the school year, and so if you want to share any success stories along the way, that'd be awesome.
Not all of them are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, but many of them are. Some of them have some type of, neurodivergent diagnosis or neurodivergent. I like to call them abilities. I personally, I see these people as people that have superpowers and have amazing abilities. The other thing about this program is we are helping them with communication. Just about everyone in here is what we consider nonverbal. Nonverbal doesn't mean they can't speak, but their expressive communication is limited. So they can, perhaps speak basic words, but they need, again, another communication method to be able to communicate. I'm thinking of one student right now who is absolutely brilliant. He reminds me of a Stephen Hawking.
Wow.
Literally, his abilities are just amazing, what he can do with academics, with computer, with critical thinking skills, but he doesn't have the physical ability to speak. So we are working with him on communication systems to be able to communicate. It's just amazing to see how he's already caught on. Right now, we're using simple sign language. We have a communication board, and we are waiting on our augmentative communication devices, which will be put onto our iPads, and that will also give him another way to be able to communicate. Another goal that I do have this year is to get keyboards for each one of our students and really help them to become very proficient in keyboarding skills, because that's another wonderful way of allowing them communication as well.
Absolutely. I've seen those augmented communications devices
Yes.
on our iPads, and
Yes.
I think the one I saw wasn't keyboard based, but it had buttons with, hello, goodbye, I would like, things
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
and the student was really able to make their wishes known and communicate
Yes.
with the teacher. So that's really amazing.
Yeah, we have, if you look over there on the board, I have some magnets, letter magnets, and I'm still trying to add to them. But one of the students had finished all of his work. This was yesterday, all of his math and all of the academics that we had expected of him. And there wasn't a word on his communication device that would communicate that he wanted to have time on Google. So next thing you know, we just had such a laugh about it. He walks over to our board and he spelled Google.
Wow.
Over there.
I see
and
it.
we did not know that he could do this.
Oh my goodness.
He surprised us. So
I believe it.
And he is one that would be completely nonverbal. He cannot
Wow.
he cannot talk. So that was but he's super, super smart. So that was really fun.
There's even an exclamation point after it too.
I know,
We're very adamant about getting some Google time.
Our jaws dropped. We're like, wow. Like, okay.
Well, that is just awesome. October is Disabilities History Month. Cara, what about that is important for you?
Thank you for bringing that up on this podcast. It is a very important month for me. I like that it raises awareness of inclusion and contributions of people with disabilities. I think that we as a community still need to explore all of the work that still needs to be done in removing barriers to allow access. I am uncomfortable labeling people with disabilities. I like to think of them as people with special abilities. So in my mind, whenever I see that, I always reframe it in my thinking as these people have special abilities. They have to endure so many more hardships. They have to push through so many more barriers than people that don't have as many significant things to deal with in life. So this month is important to me because I think of these people as people that have superpowers. And I have such a high respect for them.
I love that. You mentioned that before, the superpowers. I think, just that phrase alone shows your heart for these students and for your job.
Yeah.
People don't just fall into teaching special education. This is a calling. Who or what called you to this?
Wow, that's a really good question. This calling started when I was a child.
Wow.
My father's younger sister had Down syndrome. When I was growing up, my aunt, her name was Mary Sue, I'm thinking when I was about 4, she was about 30 years old. And my grandmother had done a really good job of advocating for Mary Sue and had taught her at home. And this, during that time when I was growing up in the 70s, it was in 60s and 70s, it was common to place these people in institutions.
Right.
And so my grandmother did not want to do that. So Mary Sue was just a big part of my childhood. And Mary Sue was probably one of my best friends. And I had a wonderful childhood with her. So I learned, I guess, right from the beginning about what it is like to have a relationship with somebody that is neurodivergent. And so I just developed, a heart for that right from the beginning. And then as I grew up, I got married, I ended up having two of my kids, my own biological children, that had also some issues with
wow.
learning, and two of them were special education. And I jumped ahead a little bit. I was also in special education myself as a child,
Really?
first grade through third grade.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was a special education teacher in my third grade year who really, really took an interest in my struggles with accessing the curriculum and learning to read and learning how numbers worked. And there was just something going on in my brain where I just was unable to grab the concepts being taught. And so this teacher, this special ed teacher, she figured out what I needed. And after that 3 years of being in the program, then I was able to catch up to where everyone else was. But I learned differently as well. And so I guess with all of these parts of my life kind of pulling together in different ways, I really developed a interest in wanting to advocate for people and for kids in the education system.
Absolutely.
And
I
so,
love that a
yeah.
teacher stepped in for you, and now you are that teacher
Thank you.
working with the students today. What an incredible story. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you.
Now, teaching is an incredibly hard job, and there's a lot of different ways that people unwind, center themselves, refocus. Do you use any self-care tactics that really work well for you that others might find some inspiration in as they're looking, as other teachers are kind of looking for inspiration?
Self-care is so important, especially when you're working in an environment where there's a lot of sensory needs. And so some of my self-care activities that I enjoy, I really like the outdoors. I find a lot of tranquility in nature. So as often as I can, I'll take a walk outside. I live in a place where it's near a lake, and I like to walk around water and think about things and kind of contemplate life. I also have some hobbies and crafts that I enjoy for self-care. I enjoy sewing and I love to read, but I do have another self-care. My most favorite self-care activity is thrift shopping with my
Oh my
friend, with my
gosh.
best friend.
I
We,
love thrift shopping.
yes,
I knew we were getting along here, but I didn't realize at what level.
yes. So we probably end up 2 or 3 times a week at the different thrift shops around the area, and we find all sorts of really amazing treasures in the thrift shops. And I buy probably, I'd say, almost half of the items that you see in here at the thrift shops.
Really?
Yeah, I found wonderful different items that are so useful in here. Like last week I bought this wonderful alphabet puzzle for 80 cents. It hadn't even been opened at the Goodwill. And so I bought that. And so anyway, yeah, that's one of my most favorite.
I love that. I spent a lot of time in Goodwill and Value Village's book
Yes.
sections.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And they're so cheap.
They really are. Yes.
I was not expecting that answer. That's a really good one. Well, to close us out from our conversation today, we always like to end with a fun question. So another way to unwind would be to magically teleport yourself to somewhere else on Earth, to a happy place, if you will. Where is your happy place, Cara?
Oh, wow. Well, my happy place would be in Montana. I was born and raised in the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, wow.
And very, very, I feel fortunate to have grown up way up in the Soda boondocks or the wilderness. So my happy place would be being teleported to a mountain creek in Montana with a fishing pole, sitting there in the sunshine and a Montana summer sunny day. And on one side of the creek would be a field of wildflowers that I could go just lay in and look at the clouds of the big sky country. And then the other side of the creek would be a beautiful little grove of trees, and there would be maybe some fruit trees mixed in there, apple trees, and maybe some huckleberries.
Oh, wow.
That I could go snack on, and that would be the place where, and then I could catch some wonderful brookie trout in the creek, and I would be as happy as a clam.
That is an amazing picture you painted.
Okay.
Wow. I'm guessing there's a couple of maybe childhood memories that are very similar to this.
Yep.
Can you tell me about maybe one of those?
Oh, my goodness, yes. So my father always, whenever we moved around in Montana before we bought our house, we always made sure we had a home that was near a creek, and it was out in the country in the mountains. And so I loved fishing. I've always loved fishing, and I had a very outdoorsy family. So I would actually get up before school in the mornings with my fishing pole and go out and to the creek, and I would catch a few fish and sit there in the mornings.
Before school?
Before school,
oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
And then bring them in. And in my family, if we caught a fish, we were expected to clean it and cook it ourselves. So I would go and cook it for breakfast. And then after school, I would do the same thing. I would go out and go fishing and find my huckleberries and
Wow.
enjoy my little adventure. And I had my sister sometimes would come with me. Sometimes my friends would come fishing, but many times I would just go by myself and enjoy.
That's
so, great childhood memories for me.
I just want to put that out there. You know, we get these goofy Instagram or TikTok challenges that kids are trying to do. Kids, your challenge is go catch a fish, cook it for breakfast, then go to school. That's
I know.
That's something I'd like to see. That's amazing.
I know, yeah.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Cara Eason, special education teacher specializing in autism spectrum disorder here at Frontier Middle School. Cara, thank you for taking the time with us today and sharing your heart with us and everything that you do here at the school. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much as well. I just love these students, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share how wonderful they are, and my team as well.
Well, listeners, Connor will be back next week. I will too, and we will talk to you then.